getting to explain to them and getting to educate even more people on how local government works. It's been really fun and enjoyable for me.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Coker and I'm the mayor of the city of Mulberry. And today on my podcast, Coker on the Record, we have a special treat. It is Georgia City Clerks Week, and I have with me the city clerk for the city of Mulberry, Miss Chandler Faith Pitts. And so we're going to get to know Chandler Faith a little bit, but we're also going to talk a little bit about what a city clerk does for those of you who may not know. So Chandler Faith, welcome to the podcast. The first thing I want you to do is just tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Just talk a little bit about that.
So, my name is Chandler Faith Pitts. I grew up actually not far down the street in Grayson, Georgia. Grew up when it was still like a small town. Then we moved to Decula when I was a little bit older for school opportunities. And grew up a Gwinnetian, went to Georgia Tech, and graduated with a mechanical engineering degree.
Okay, so you have a degree from Georgia Tech, a mechanical engineering degree. And so let's talk a little bit about how you got involved with the city of Mulberry. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started coming to a lot of the meetings before it was Mulberry, a lot of the informational sessions, and just really wanted to know how I could help. I was very interested. Of course, I saw a lot of the issues about local control and a lot of the problems that come with the lack of it, and just really wanted to get involved. So I started asking Michael if there was anything that I could do. And when a situation arose where they needed a secretary, I said, absolutely, I'd love to help in any way I can. So I became the secretary. And then when the position for the city clerk opened, it was offered to me and I gladly took it.
That's awesome. And you've been a huge help for the city. I will be the first one to say that. We could not have done it without your help. Um, but let's talk a little bit for those that are listening about that don't maybe know what a city clerk does, right? Um, Kind of the day-to-day operations for the city clerk. Can you talk a little bit first off about what is a city clerk and then kind of what does a city clerk do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so a city clerk, in essence, is in charge of all the records. Depending upon how it's structured, it could be for the court, or it could be over all the parts, or just certain parts. But anyway, so they're in charge of the records as well as public notices and that kind of stuff. So, as far as on a day to day basis, you're looking at making sure the minutes are prepared for meetings, as well as agendas. And the when people request records, we make sure that those get provided in a timely manner and the correct records. So, that's basically the day to day. Sometimes it'll involve more roles, but that's the basis of it.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the records first. So, why is it so important for a city to keep records?
Yeah, so I think a really major portion, of course, is like if something happens at city council meetings, people want to know, well, what exactly did that document say so that they can have an understanding of what's going to be going forward, like the ordinances that are, posted online. So that's the really important part of records. They can also be cities, they will take over deeds. So have the deed book, you got to know where the property lines are. We don't necessarily do that, but
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about those ordinances. So if I'm somebody that's a member of the public and I want to know what a specific city ordinance says, how would I go about finding that? And I understand there might be some changes that are coming soon. So what changes could they expect and how to find those ordinances?
yeah, so a lot of the ordinances right now they are on our website. If you go to the legislative action page and you scroll down to the bottom, it'll say like ordinances, and all of those on there have been approved, even though they may or may not have the signature on there. I wanted to make them searchable PDFs, so they're on there. And then the changes that will be coming is we're going to start using Municode, which means that we will then have a link from our website to the Municode docket, and you'll be able to search through there, and those will be 100% searchable PDFs.
And I understand from Unicode that a lot of other cities use that too. So it's basically the opportunity for us as Mulberry to upload all of our ordinances to kind of this big database where it's easy to find, it's searchable, and at any given moment you can get on your phone, search it, and see what those ordinances are. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's talk. We've talked a little bit about the documents retention and kind of files and those kind of items. Talk a little bit about what you do at city council meetings. I know you sit there at every one of the city council meetings. Can you talk a little bit about what your role is, kind of your job duties, those kind of things?
Right, yeah. So at city council meetings, I make sure that the minutes are taken properly, which basically means I have to make sure that it's recorded when the meeting is opened, who opens the meetings, who does all the action items, if there's discussion, and what the final vote or lack of a vote is.
And for those people who don't really understand what meeting minutes are, right? If they've never sat on a board or they've never been to a city council, what are meeting minutes and what do they kind of look like?
Yeah, so the whole purpose for meeting minutes is if someone is absent or if they want to review later, it makes sure that they have an opportunity to go back and review what exactly occurred. And so the best way to do that is to tell the actions that were taken, whether there was a vote, whether there wasn't a vote, like if there was discussion, those kinds of things.
So if I'm somebody that wants to go back and I want to look at how, in Mulberry we have 5 city council members.
Mhm.
So if I want to go back and I want to look and see exactly how my city council representative voted on a certain issue, would that be something that I could see in those minutes?
Absolutely. It will, and if there's like a split vote, it'll say who voted on what side. So you would have full ability to go through and look at those and see who voted for what when.
And if I wanted to see a copy of those minutes, where could I find those?
Those are also on our website. There's a little, right as you scroll down, on the homepage, there's a little like Blackberry or Mulberry, and it'll say agenda and minutes under it. And you click on it, and it'll take you and you find the date. It's first done by city council meetings, and then it's done by planning commission meetings. So you go through, and on the right hand side, it'll say meeting, it'll say minutes, and it'll have a little checkbox, and you click the checkbox, it'll open up in the next page.
And just so everybody knows, so the city website is mulberryga.gov,
Yes.
correct? And that's where you can find these minutes pages. You can find the ordinances that we talked about, and then the link ultimately when they move to Municode. Can you also tell me some of the other things you do at the council meetings?
Absolutely. So one of the other things I do is I make sure that our live recording is up on our YouTube page, and I make sure that it starts and stops at the appropriate times.
Okay, perfect. And then obviously that recording is out there, so then people can also go back and watch. So that you have 2 ways you can see what happens at the council meetings. You can either review the minutes and see exactly who voted how and what votes were taken in those items. And you can also go back and watch the video feed. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to ask you just kind of personally, what has been the thing so far working with the city of Mulberry that you found most enjoyable, or what's been your favorite part about being the city clerk?
I think one of my favorite parts, it happened more at the beginning, but even still, constituents will come up and they'll ask questions. They want to know, how do I find whatever? Or can you explain how this process works? And getting to explain to them and getting to educate even more people on how local government works, it's been really fun and enjoyable for me.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I mean, you can definitely tell that engineering background you have because your attention to detail, you're so meticulous. You've been a great person as far as like keeping the records and keeping things up to date. So basically your favorite thing's kind of been working with the constituents and kind of getting to know them. I totally understand and get that. For those people that are out there that are watching that maybe one day want to be a clerk themselves or maybe an assistant clerk or work for a local government, what piece of advice would you give them, given your success in the role?
Absolutely. I'd say just start with going to the council meetings and going to all the other kinds of public meetings that are available and just really starting to learn and ask questions. And when volunteer opportunities show up, I would absolutely just say take them. You might not be doing exactly what you want to do, but just if it's an opportunity to help out in some capacity, take it because you'll learn more as you get to talk to all of the people who work in the city of Mulberry.
And what would you say? Obviously, we have a situation where it's a brand new city, right? So we're kind of starting from the ground and kind of building it up, right? Um, what would you say have been some of the challenges? Obviously, you didn't come in and step into a fully operational city with a city clerk that had been doing it for 25 years and had everything set up and ready to go for you. What would you say have been some of the challenges that you faced as the first city clerk for the city of Mulberry?
I think number one, just not knowing what to do. I've had absolutely tremendous support from a lot of the clerks all around Georgia and in Gwinnett County. They taught me how it all works. They've taught me the way it's officially supposed to be done. And I think that's number one. And then number two is just getting a system that is helpful for the staff because every staff is going to be different. And just making sure that you have a system that's actually helpful to the staff, whether it be record retention or how they want to compose the agenda, just making sure that you have that and coordinating with everybody. So it's helpful that way it actually gets done.
I think that's really cool how you talked about how the other clerks have been so kind and so willing to help you and stay involved and answer your questions. I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit more about that, about kind of the network of clerks that are out there and the support you've had and maybe, one or two examples of some friendly things that other clerks have done to kind of make your life a little bit easier.
Absolutely, yeah. So like GMA has a clerks network already kind of built, and there's an amazing platform that you can go and ask any questions or read other people's questions. But even more than that, when they heard that I was the city clerk for Mulberry and they knew we were new and they knew I was new, they just reached out via email, and it was amazing. Nobody prompted them to. They just reached out from DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, Hall County, and so it was just wonderful. And a lot of them, they had to kind of provide from the get go, from the very basics of like, what do minutes look like? What do agendas look like? How do you run the court? Like those kinds of very basic things. They were able to provide me with templates that I could use in accordance with how we want to run it. So.
And obviously, in the news, there's been a lot of stories lately about, Mulberry and the county and, relationships and some tension and those kind of items. But it sounds like that other clerks in Gwinnett have been very supportive and willing to help you out, which is phenomenal. I think that's great. Well, great. Well, is there anything else that you would want to tell our listeners that are out there who are following Mulberry, that are tracking us, that want to know exactly what's going on? Anything else you would say to them?
Absolutely, yeah. I would say just come to all the public meetings you can, ask questions to your council members, and just get involved. Not like there's a great community that always come to all of our council meetings, and a lot of those people they volunteer for Mulberry. So just get involved and get plugged in with that. And of course, review the materials on the website. It's very helpful and very informative. But yeah.
I'd agree 100% with that. I would say come to the meetings, get involved, get to know your individual council member. And we're a new city, so we're always looking for people to help, to volunteer, to provide, services to help out with the city. I think that's been one of the most powerful things about Mulberry so far is that the ability of the community to come together and provide services and to help where possible. I mean, case in point, right? We had a brand new city hall and the city hall was in desperate need of a paint job. I mean, it looked very bad. And we just had a community member, somebody who lives in Mulberry that reached out to it, says, hey, I'm a painter. I'm more than happy to come and help out, and just showed up at no cost to the city and offered to paint and did it all. And now it looks beautiful. And so that has been the coolest part about this job is kind of seeing the community come together. People just like you that, you initially didn't, you offered to help free of charge. Hey, what can I do? How can I get involved? How can I help this city succeed? And I will tell you that has been the absolute best part of my job is seeing this community come together and work together to make Mulberry a success. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the city. I know that as the mayor, I want you to know that we could not have done this without you. So she has been a huge gift to all of us at the city, and I just want to express that to you. But thank you for being on the podcast. We appreciate it. And for those of you out there that are listening, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the podcast if you want to keep getting updates about Mulberry, keep getting updates about what's going on. We're going to continue to have guests who are going to talk a little bit about the city's operations, how it works, and what you need to know. So like and subscribe and follow along. Again, I'm Michael Coker. This has been Coker on the Record. Thanks for listening.